Hi, I'm Alyssa Casey, Owner Engagement Specialist here at Keystone RV. In this video, you'll learn about Arcadia's revolutionary NGC2 frame design. NGC2 stands for Next Generation Crawlspace Chassis. And while this frame has many exciting features, it's that open channel crawl space that runs the length of the frame that really has people talking. And now I'll turn it over to Dustin Tavernier and Jeff Snyder to walk you through Arcadia's NGC2.
We're here with Jeff Snyder, our Director of Engineering here at Keystone RV. Today, I'm going to introduce you, along with Jeff, to the Arcadia chassis. With that, I want you to know this. If you've watched any of our other chassis videos, please stay tuned. This is actually truly brand new from Keystone.
Right.
So,
yeah, we're very excited about it.
With that, Jeff, we'd like to start here at the front of the chassis.
Sure. We're calling this our single header upper deck or chassis. The reason we call it single header is because we've got one 6x6 tube up here, whereas before we had a 2x6 tube here, along with another 2x6 back here that housed the pin box mount. Lippert changed this to a 6x6, and we asked them to bend this chassis or bend that tube around so that we get our max turn.
Okay. So with that, as most of you know, our max turn has been something that we've implemented here at Keystone for quite some time.
Yeah, it's been years now.
Yeah, so that gives the customer, the end user, the ability to turn their unit without doing any damage whatsoever. So again, you're talking about safety, you're talking about just ease of towability.
Right. It gives us about 8 more inches here than if this were straight across. It gives us about 8 more inches of turning. So when the truck turns before it makes contact here, so you got that much more degree of turning.
Very nice. Yeah. Awesome.
We do gain a little bit of strength on this thing laterally across the coach, whereas before we only had the 2-inch tube across here. Well, now we got this 6x6 tube, and so we gain a little strength laterally this way. So it does give us a little bit stronger frame also. Well, so added benefit.
Yeah, that's awesome. Again, something brand new to Keystone, and we're fortunate enough to have you design this with Lippert and the Arcadia essentially be the launch on this. So,
right.
Awesome. Oh. So Jeff, we're calling this the next generation chassis here at Keystone RV, and again, Arcadia is fortunate enough to be a part of that. So what does that mean?
So, well, starting up here, besides the single header upper deck, by doing that, we've gotten rid of a steel cross member here that would normally be here, that would make us create a step that would go up into a closet or whatever that might be, a walk around the bed or whatever. That has been eliminated now. So now you can walk around the bed unimpeded. You can walk, if they've got a front closet, you can walk into the front closet without having to step up. It also gives us more room to put washers and dryers in there on the floor or things like that.
Yeah, awesome. I know that's something that we're big time excited about, the fact that basically a flush floor on that upper deck, and I know I'm able to walk right into that walk-in closet.
Yeah.
So a huge benefit to our customers.
Right. And then back here further on, this is the part that's most exciting to me, is this is what, the new generation frame, or we're calling it the Crawlspace Frame. It's a patent pending design, and what this does, it's a little bit different than any chassis that you see out here, where normally these cross members will go flush to the top of these I-beams, where here you can see these cross members are dropped down 3 inches. And the reason we have done that is so that we can get a area in here between the center spine here that's a floor support and the I-beam, and it gives us a 3-inch deep area that we can put heat duct, we can put wiring, we can put plumbing, we can put all kinds of things in there in a truly insulated, heated crawl space, if you will.
Okay. So how about, let's talk a little bit about the guys that are putting these things together. That crawl space you mentioned, does that create space for them to run wires and?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's just like, a crawl space in a home is made for your utilities, right? You've got heat duct down there, you've got water lines down there, you've got all those things, wiring, everything down in that crawl space. That's what it's there for. So the same thing is true with this chassis. We can put a multitude of things down here that would normally take up space inside of your cabinets inside, or down in the frame where they're more apt to freeze, like a water line or whatever. By putting them up here alongside the heat duct, things don't freeze.
That's awesome. Again, kind of a next generation.
Right, exactly.
We'll start it with Arcadia and probably grow that.
Right.
How about outriggers?
Yeah, the outriggers are basically the same as what you would see on any of our other chassis. The difference is that we've got taller outriggers here.
Okay.
And part of that is the cross member design. We wanted to get, normally these outriggers would be just a little bit shorter. We brought these down a little bit so that it's more the height of the I-beam, so that we can transfer this load that's coming down on this down towards the bottom of the beam.
Okay. So just an enormous amount of support and strength really for the foundation of this whole thing.
Right.
Awesome.
So the cross member, like I said before, is built the same way. But the thing about it is it's a different shape than what you're used to seeing in a normal fifth wheel. Normally they're flat on the top and the bottom. This cross member has a convex bottom built into it so that it will hold the depth of the holding tanks.
Okay.
And still have the underbelly go underneath it. That gives us the 3 inches of space between the top of the I-beam and the top of the tank that allows us to put in that crawl space area.
Okay. Awesome. So great space for really some high capacity tanks, number one. Number two, I think it's going to allow room for heat pads and such.
Right, exactly.
All right, Jeff, again, we've been talking about the next generation frame that you came up with. One major thing with the Arcadia and new here at Keystone is what you're calling the center spine.
Right. So because we've dropped the I-beam, or I'm sorry, the cross members down to 3 inches, I designed the center spine in there to support the floor. So we can use the hyperdeck floor and put it over the top of this, and our span is this distance right here. Or I can separate these and I can run 2 of them down through, depending on the floor plan where we got to run heat run or plumbing or anything else. Going back to every one of our frames are designed specific to the floor plan. If I need to run down there further, you can see where the center spine is broken. We're going to be running a heat duct through there and to get to the other side of the coach. You can't do that on a conventional floor without having some structural issues. The center spine and the way we've designed this frame solves those issues.
That's awesome. What a huge benefit for you to be able to take this center spine based on whether the unit has an island, doesn't have an island, whatever that floor plan may be, you can gain strength by customizing.
Exactly. This center spine gives us a point to tie down those center islands. We can screw the center islands right through the floor, right into the center spine.
Well, I love that.
Yeah, giving us some extra strength on those, on those islands. We can screw the floor down through the center, down anywhere where we want to. Whereas before we were limited to where we had a cross member, and also where we didn't have holding tanks. If we had a holding tank there, we couldn't put a support down through to bolt the floor down.
Gotcha.
Here we can put it anywhere we want to with this design.
Incredible. Well, Jeff, you mentioned the repeatable processes. That's the awesome part about what you designed here and how it basically plays into what we wanted to do from the foundation of this, the automotive DNA, the fact that the repeatable process and evolving our frame construction, evolving the way we look at floor plans, design around them, making everything stronger from the foundation on up. So that's just incredible. We appreciate that. So really from the front of this frame and talking about saving space on the interior, the strength of the front cap and that beam and our ability to have kind of, the max turn technology to crawl space to the center spine, just amazing, and can't tell you how much we appreciate being a part of really the next generation of fifth wheels.
We're very excited about it.
Yes, well thank you. So Jeff, we were able to catch an Arcadia a little farther down the production line. So we've been talking about the next generation chassis and so on. So as you take a look at this, what all do we have happening here?
This shows you all that this frame was created for. The whole reason for the 3-inch drop. This chassis is done to the point where the next step in production would be to bring the floor in and set it down and bolt it down. So this frame is all ready for that floor. The benefits of this Crawlspace chassis are very apparent in this stage of production. So with the hyperdeck floor, the problem in the past with hyperdeck has always been that we have to run a dryer vent type of heat system. Okay. And those either run down into the chassis, down into the cold chassis, or they run into the cabinets, taking up space. One of the things that we talked about early on in the development of this product was that we wanted this to look clean everywhere. Inside the cabinets, we didn't want to see heat duct. We didn't want to see water lines, routed all over the place. This chassis allows us to route a regular in-floor heat duct where the hyperdeck floor, it wasn't available with that before. Now with this chassis setup, we can put in the regular residential style heating system in here, which is a much better way to go. And we can also run water lines wherever we want to go. We can go across the coach. Again, these are designed per floor plan, the chassis are. So I can break that center spine, run the heat duct across, I can run water line across to something that might be over on the other side of the coach, and we can go straight up underneath the faucet with that water line. We're not routing that water line like spaghetti anymore.
Okay.
Same is true with the wiring. You see there we got a wiring harness along that spine there. It's all nice and neat, and we can run it wherever we need to run it. We got water lines on this side of the heat duct, we got water lines on that side of the heat duct. The radiant heat coming off of the duct is going to keep those water lines from freezing, and we've got a 1/2 inch of foam board insulation here, and this area is truly insulated. Whereas before, before we had the Crawlspace chassis, we insulated the belly and we pumped heat down there, and we have voids in the I-beams coming across wherever we've got something coming through a wire or a slide tube or whatever. We've got voids in there that you just can't avoid having those heat loss areas.
Sure. Yeah.
So now we've got this foam board here, and it wraps up the side of the I-beam. We have no perforations going through the main rails here for cold to enter into the coach. So it's a truly insulated space.
Amazing. And I think we've talked a little bit about automotive DNA, if you will, and talked about, as we come in here, a much more residential design. And for us to have the ability to have all of these items, your water lines, your heat ducting, in a space that has 360 degrees of insulation.
Right.
I mean, that's incredible.
Right. With the hyperdeck floor on there, the laminated floor, we know we've got 1.5 inches of foam insulation in there. So when that sits on here and this foam wraps up, we've got that 360 that you're talking about there. The other thing that this cavity allows us to do is when we have an island out here, it always gives us problems with an island out here trying to drain the kitchen sink.
Okay.
Here, now you can see the drain line that's popping up there. That's where the island is going to sit, is right here. Well, the tank is down here. We can't avoid where we put the tanks. I mean, we have to design to the floor plan. In this case, I've got a slide rail right here, so I can't put a tank here where it wants to be, right?
Okay.
So I can put the tank down here. Well, in the past, before this chassis, how do I get a drain line from here to
Not
there?
possible.
It's not possible. Now it's possible.
Wow. This crawl space is truly an incredible design. I mean, unbelievable what you've done with this. So huge benefits for our customers, obviously from a production standpoint, and just keeping this thing really almost like you're building your home, just a little more detailed.
Exactly. That was one of the things that the design team wanted to have. I want this thing to be automotive DNA, and I want it to look residential inside. And I think we knocked it out of the park.
I think you nailed it. Absolutely.